Today I'm making one of my favorite soups, and it's a curried red lentil soup. Red lentils are really easy to work with. They're much like a brown lentil. You don't have to soak them. They are a legume and not a bean. You can find them just about everywhere too. I'm going to add potatoes to my soup today, and I had white potatoes, so I'm using those, but I really love sweet potatoes too. And I'm going to be using a madras curry powder, and that's a blend. So there are different curries, and this one has cinnamon in it. So it has this beautiful sweet flavor, but it also has a little bit of heat. And I'm also using some cumin. I'm not putting coconut milk in it, but that would be really great too. You could do that. Please enjoy the video, and you'll find the full recipe on Diane's World Cooking, and you'll also find the ingredients listed below in the description box. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please do. I would love it. Have a great day.
You'll need 1 celery stalk. I like to cut it up in sections, it's easier to handle, and then cut those in very small 1/2-inch pieces and then dice them. Get your celery put aside, and then you're going to do the same thing. 1 large sweet onion. Mince that really fine. You don't want it in large chunks, not for this soup. I'm mincing up about 4 or 5 fresh garlic cloves. You could even add ginger to this soup. I didn't, but it would be a nice addition, some fresh ginger. Here are my white potatoes, but as I mentioned before, a sweet potato is even better. And if you wanted to skip the potatoes altogether, you could use a 15-ounce can of chickpeas that you would drain and rinse and just add them to the soup later on, maybe during the last 10 minutes of cooking. So here are our spices, and this is what's going to really make the soup wonderful. I'm cooking my soup in a Dutch oven, and I'm always asked what that is. It's a large round pot, usually with handles on both sides, and about 4 or 5 inches in height. Here's some olive oil, and you don't have to use that. You could use ghee, or you could use a neutral oil like canola or avocado oil. I'm going to be adding my onion. Make sure that your oil is hot when you do this, and cook them until they're soft and golden. You can see I'm adding salt. I'm a big fan of that at the beginning of cooking your onions. It sweats them and gives a beautiful flavor right from the start. I purchased a bag of Bob's Red Mill lentils. Now this is almost 2 pounds, but I'm only going to use half of it because you want 1 pound. You want to make sure those onions are totally soft and caramelized. At this point, you want to add your dry spices. You want them to bloom in that nice saute of onions and oil. If you add it in later, it just doesn't taste the same. What the heat does is it sort of opens up the wonderful flavors of your spices. So do this now. I added 1 full tablespoon of cumin and now 2 tablespoons of the madras curry, but I found that later on I needed a little bit more curry, so you could add about 3. After you cook this for a while, the flavors can fade a little bit with spices, so feel free to add just a little bit more in the beginning. Now that your spices have cooked for a few minutes and they've opened up and really bloomed, you want to start adding your liquids. So I have 4 cups of chicken stock, and this could be veggie stock. I'm definitely going to need more liquid later though, so I'm going to add water. So here comes half of that package. It's about 1 pound of my red lentils, or about 16 ounces. Bring your soup to a full boil, and within about 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to see it thicken way up, and then you're going to add your potatoes. Potatoes only really need about 12 to 14 minutes to cook at the most, especially when they're cut really small. Now you can see how really thick this is getting. It almost looks like a stew or a porridge. So I'm going to add some water. I have 2 cups of water, and if you have extra broth and want to use that, you certainly can. Get that really mixed in well. You'll see later that I added my crushed tomatoes, but this is the point where you'd really want to do it. I got sort of started a little bit late with the tomatoes, but now is the time. Some of my lentils are still a little bit red. You will see this whole soup transform and turn more into like a brown lentil look. They don't stay red. So I'm going to taste my potato and see if it's tender. That's sort of the key. Once your lentils have all turned soft, then it's all about the potato. I'm adding a little bit more salt at the end because it really needed it when I tasted that potato. Here are the tomatoes coming in a little bit late, and it really is okay. I'm going to cook this for about 10 more minutes, but as I said before, put them in a little bit earlier than now so they can really absorb into the soup better. Place a lid on your soup and let that simmer on really low. This is such a thick soup that it can scorch on the bottom, so stir once in a while and make sure that you have enough liquid in there, just a little bit at a time if you really have to.
So it's time for the taste test. This is pretty hot, but and it's very, very thick, and you can water this down if you want, but I love eating it almost like a porridge. I think it's really meant to be that way because those red lentils dissolve, and the more liquid you add later on, you'll water down the flavor a little bit too. So just keep that in mind. And I know that adding that salt really picked up all the flavors after cooking. So here we go. I just got a potato, and I got some of the wonderful lentil soup part. This is so satisfying and very filling and really nutritious for you too. Thanks for watching.